Alright, so in the first video we looked at roughing in our template for this model. And in the second video we examined how to create the first silhouette around the form, leaving us with this shape currently. We've got a lot of work still to do on this, but it's going to start flowing pretty fast. The trick to a lot of this is to make sure that you're using the fastest tools available to you. Now, I find that the Create Polygon tool, which we just used in this process, the Create Polygon tool is actually a very fast tool to lay in geometry. So much so that I prefer to use it in almost all cases rather than a different tool. So let's go back to create a side silhouette for this. I'm now trying to trace like a contour line drawing around the form. I'm going to go back in with the Create Polygon tool again. Go to the front view, and I'm going to draw down the side of the body in a couple of broad strokes. And hit Enter when you're done, and that's going to give you this relatively odd shape that seems like it's tracing the wrong negative space. But if I select it in Edge mode, if I right-click and choose Edge, drag a selection over those edges, I can hit Extrude, the selected face, hit W for the Move tool, and pull this forward. If I then go into the Face Component mode and remove out these two excess faces, you see pretty easily that we've got a nice little polygon silhouette that we can then start to remold to the form to get this working exactly how we'd like it. So I'm going to push these points around just a little bit. And again, if you see this coming off of that template at all, well, just push it back closer and you should be in business. Well, our problem is that these two templates are separate pieces right now. They're not actually going to combine when I try and maybe use the Append Polygon tool to draw across them. So before I start using the Append Polygon tool or merging vertices, I'm going to go to Mesh and choose Combine, making them one model. And then I will go about freezing and resetting the transformations under Modify Freeze, Modify Reset. And then I will go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and reduplicate it across to the other side. So I can see the form a little bit better. I'm going to go to Normals and choose Soften Edge, so I don't really see those shading creases. And then since my history is piled up, I'm going to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, History, and remove that history out. Now what's going to be a big benefit to me is I can come in with Edit Mesh, Append Polygon tool, and I should be able to click from one edge on one form to another edge on the other. However, if I hide this model out, you'll see something interesting has happened here. Notice how the face joining these two up has seemingly flipped inside out. I'm going to delete that face out. The reason for this comes because of the directions in which I extruded this second section forward. Currently, my normals are inside out on one of these two parts, meaning that the direction that the faces are pointing on one of these pieces is the wrong way. Generally, you want all of your face normals to point outwards from the model so that your mesh illuminates correctly. Well, since my normals are inside out, my model's having to do this sort of 180 barrel roll to get to the other face. It's easy to check the direction of your normals. You can go to Display, Polygons, Face Normals with your model in object mode, and you'll see what happens. Notice that my original silhouette that I created has normals that are inside out. To fix this, let's right-click on the model and choose Face. I'll drag a selection over these center faces, go to Normals, and choose Reverse. And that will reverse my normals. I can turn the little cactus display off by going to Display, Polygons, Face Normals, and turning it back off. Now if I want to go back and use the Append Polygon tool, the process is going to become very easy. And you'll notice that I have faces that are joined up. In the process, notice as well that I started out using the Create Polygon tool because it is the fastest way to create geometry. I like to use the Append Polygon tool because it is one of the next fastest ways to fill in the gaps. Another extremely fast tool can be found under Edit Mesh, Insert Edge Loop tool. Here I can just click on one edge and it will drag out a new division for me. Once that's created, I can move it back into place and I'll have geometry ready to go with fairly little effort. My next task in getting this up to speed is I want to start to manipulate my vertices into a position that feels more natural to the form. I've got a lot of development already done here on the model, but I want to really push this further so that it contours a little bit better with my form. And I can get a little bit more distance out of each one of these vertices in some cases. If you do accidentally move vertices off the center line, no big deal. Just hold down X using the Move tool and snap them back to grid. So you see here, if I accidentally push these in the wrong direction because I wasn't looking, I can fix them rather easily. In the throat, I'm going to push my vertices closer together so I can push them right into the sternal notch. And I'm going to work my way around the clavicle and towards the pectoral, or towards the breast on top of the pectoral muscle. Trying to keep this right onto the silhouette as much as possible. And I can extend these faces out up until the point where there's a very clear need for delineation of change in direction. Let's pull this upwards a little bit. I'm going to take these up as well. I want to have a contour line that I can use to trace the bottom of the ribs, and that's why I feel like putting this in place is going to make sense. I'll push this back around the form. As you get closer to the lower part of the abdomen, we are going to make sure that we're preserving this V shape to the bottom of the torso. And that's going to be a very important shape to make sure you have correct when the legs decide to bend. So I'm trying to preserve that at all costs by trying to keep this angled just a little bit. On the back side, you often find that the lower back starts to pinch together a little bit, whereas the upper torso area is going to start to widen out. And this should have a pretty good wrapping around the form. Well, now I can come in with my Append Polygon tool again and start to connect some of these other divisions right through the middle of the torso. Turn my side off. I can go to Edit Mesh, Insert Edge Loop tool, and cut one more division through this form and roughly move it out. A couple more vertex positions, and we're going to have something that works very nicely with this torso form. And we're going to pick up with this in our next video.